Good morning, everyone. I hope my audio, video, as well as the shared screen is clearly visible. If yes, just give a thumbs up or put down in the comment so that I get to know that you're able to see and also hear me clearly. Okay, thanks for the confirmations. And now we are good to start. Today we'll be taking up the second part of our revision. In the first part, we have completed the introduction part, the business environment part, and the internal environment part. Now we'll be focusing on the external environment part. Right now, in external environment, when we talk about one way, it is simpler, but there are a lot of models, there are a lot of concepts that we need to remember, and very important from examination point of view, right? So we'll start off with the external environment. As we have discussed earlier, external environment means what? This is your business. Anything which is outside of the business is your external environment, right? Now in this chapter we discuss about how do we evaluate the external environment, what are the inputs we take, and how does that help us to make decisions. One of the very important model or the framework that we come across is the PESTEL framework. We have touched upon this when we did business environment. This framework helps us to analyze our external environment, right? Now what does PESTEL stand for? Political, economic, S for socio-cultural, T for technological, L for legal, E for environment. This you have to remember. Okay, if at all a question comes up on analyzing the external environment or framework to be used to analyze external environment, this is what you have to use. So PESTEL, this framework is what will be used for evaluating the external environment. Now the first one, the political factors. This has to do with your government, policies, politics, or political stability in the country or in the international environment. So political factors encompass, see, remember the keywords: government can intervene in the economy through regulations, taxation policies, trade agreement, multiple things government can intervene. For example, government introduces, let us say, GST, or for example government says lower import duty or higher import duty, something like that, right? So anything that the government does falls under political factor. This political factor is closely related to legal factor or legal parameters as well. That is the first part. Then second is the economic factors. Now what does economic factor cover? This will cover your interest rates, inflation, this will cover your GDP, this will cover your economic growth, this will cover your disposable income. Anything to do with the economy, whether the microeconomy or the macroeconomy you look at, economic factors have a great impact on the business. How is that possible? Say for example, interest rate. If interest rate goes up, the cost for the business also goes up. If the cost for the business goes up, the business will make profit, or they have to pass on the higher cost to whom? To the consumers or to the customers, right? Now second thing, interest rate, if it increases, for example, I want to buy a home. Now if interest rate is higher, the demand for homes may go lower, the demand for personal loans will go lower. So because of that, these economic factors have a direct impact on the business. That is the second external factor. The third factor is the social factor or the socio-cultural parameters or cultural factors, right? Now this covers the cultural and demographic aspects of the society. Please remember, you have to write these key terms in the examination to secure good marks, right? So this covers the cultural and demographic aspects. For example, consumer behavior, consumer preferences, what they want to buy, what is there in currently there in fashion, all of that, lifestyle changes, everything are under your social factors. Something to do also with maybe education, okay? Then the age population. All of these form part of your social factors. That is the third part. Then technological factors. As far as technological factors are concerned, this relates not only to computers. See, when we say technology, don't think we are only talking about computers. Okay, technology means it could be a manufacturing technology. Technology means maybe related to something which is a new patent being developed, new types of innovation that you see in the market. Anything which will have an impact on the business operation, any innovation you see, those all are covered under technology factor. So not only computers or information technology, we are talking about technology. So it could be innovation in business processes, new advancement in technology, R&D, automation. All of these have direct impact on the business. So multiple ways it can impact. Growth in information technology, something like, let's say, e-commerce, it has grown up significantly, right? So that is one thing. This live stream, now when I was doing my CA, I would not have thought that we would be able to have live discussions over internet at that point in time, right? So all of these have enabled new things, and also with increased technology there is increased risk also. You have a risk of cyber threats are there, then you have risk around technology being copied, technology being outdated. Very quickly a new technology can become outdated, and again that will have an impact on the business, right? So that is the technological factor. Then legal factors related to laws and regulations. You have to comply with various laws like environmental laws, labor laws, child labor policies, and all of that. So when you comply with all of these, this will have again a direct impact on the business. Then environmental factors. This is your natural environment. Natural environment means your society, natural environment means the natural environment like your resources that you use, rivers, water sources, carbon pollution in the environment. All of those are a part of environmental factor. Now what happens is, because of these environmental factors, there may be some laws. Again, these laws are related to legal and political factors, right? So here we have given a list of political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors. So all of these you can go through once. For giving examples in the examination, you can give, for example, these two laws. For example, environmental hazards or energy consumption, waste disposal. There is something on carbon footprint. A lot of these things you can mention, right? So that is the first part, that is your external environment analysis using the PESTEL framework, right? Another important external environment analysis, a brief one that we will cover through, is internationalization of business. Now what is the meaning of internationalization of business? In today's time, businesses do not restrict themselves to a particular country, right? You see news, you read news about Tesla is planning to come to India, right? Infosys is doing something in foreign countries. So all of these companies, once you realize that in the given area or in the given demography or in the given geography, you have captured the market, you want to look outside of the country. So generally what happens is, first you target, let us say, a particular city or a town or a state, then you expand in the country. Once you have expanded in the country, then you feel, no, country is not enough, I also need to look at international market. So when we say internationalization of business, this is basically businesses entering new markets to have greater earnings and less expensive resources. So basically when businesses go international, that is what we say internationalization of business. Now, what is the characteristic of a global business? It is a conglomerate of multiple units located in different parts of the globe but linked by a common ownership. For example, Amazon. Right? Now, if you have Amazon, Amazon is one entity, but it has different entities. For example, Amazon India Private Limited, AWS Services Private Limited. All of these are linked to Amazon. They are in the form of conglomerate. Now we'll understand about conglomerate subsequently in the next chapter. Conglomerate basically means multiple types of businesses brought in together, right? For example, Tata Group is a conglomerate, Reliance Group is a conglomerate. So that is what is called a conglomerate. So first is, it is a conglomerate of multiple units. They are located in different parts of the globe but linked by common ownership. Second, multiple units draw on a common pool of resources such as money, credit, information, patents, trade names, and control system. Now I gave you the example of Amazon. Now Amazon as a brand name, is used by all the units. They are spread across the globe, but you understand or you know them by the name Amazon. Same way, resources, raising of capital, raising of loans, all of that is shared. The units respond to some common strategy, and its managers and shareholders are also based in different nations. So they respond to common strategy, means the strategy for the entire group is common, a common strategy is formed. From that, individual strategy for businesses are formed, right? That is one thing. And the managers, shareholders may or may not be located in different nations, but managers are definitely based in different nations. Now, in some cases, for example, you look at Infosys, it is listed, the ADRs of Infosys are listed, so you also have foreign ownership of this entity. Okay, so this is the characteristic of global business. These 3 points you need to write when you talk about characteristics of global business. Now, what are those characteristics? One is, it is a conglomerate. Second, common pool of resources. Third, common strategy. Now, how do businesses develop internationally? By following these 4 steps. First, evaluate global opportunities and threats and rate them with internal capabilities. Same SWOT analysis. Identify what are the global opportunities, what are the global threats, and what are your internal capabilities. Describe the scope of firm's commercial operation. What do you want to do globally? Create the firm's global business objectives. What is my objective of going global? And develop corporate strategies for the global business and the whole organization. So, how will we go global? We will go global by identifying what are the opportunities and threats in the global market. First thing. Second, what are my objectives that I will define. Third, what is the scope? And lastly, what will be my strategy? Now, amongst all of this, the very important question, this part is important. Why do businesses go global? Meaning to say, why should or why does any business want to expand internationally? See, one thing please understand, whenever you are going global or when you are going for expansion, we'll understand this in the subsequent chapter as well. When we say we are going global, we are capturing new markets. So why are we going to the new markets? We are going to the new markets because we want more profits, we want more revenue, we want more market share. For example, I am operating in India. I have captured a significant portion in the market, and there is a lot of competition in this market. So I will start looking at other opportunities where I can expand and I can grow. Right? So the reasons company go global, whatever is highlighted that you need to remember, these are the keywords, and you can expand it in your answers. There is a need to grow. We need to grow. Okay, as every organization, they want to grow, they want to make profit, they want to make more revenue. That is why they go international. Rapid shrinking of time and distance across the globe because of faster communication. Now, this is a very, very important factor where because of improved communication, the timelines of placing an order, receiving an order, exchanging documents and all of those have reduced significantly. Now, there are 2 aspects. One, for the service industry, the timeline has come down significantly because today you can do a Zoom call and you can execute or you can give consultancy. You can outsource a lot of your operations and all of that. Also for manufacturing or for product goods based industry, even there, earlier what used to happen, you have to send a purchase order, they will receive after 15 days and then they will respond back. Now, because of communication, email, chat engines, online video communication options available, all of this has come down. So rapid shrinking of time and distance because of faster communication, faster transportation, growing financial flow of funds and rapid technological changes. Now, because of that, we are able to execute or we are able to do businesses better. Domestic markets are no longer adequate, means existing market, the domestic market is no longer adequate, and because of which we need to look at international market. Need for reliable or cheaper sources of raw materials, labor, etc. Now, this is a classic case of what is happening in China and also now in India. A lot of manufacturing happens in China because of cheap labor, or for some products you have to see the raw materials. If raw materials are available in a particular country and it is available at a cheaper rate, it makes sense to set up the plants there, right? Then reduce high transportation cost. Now, for example, my market is largely let us say Europe. Okay, if I manufacture in India and then I export to Europe, it will take a lot of time. Rather, I can manufacture in Europe and sell in Europe itself. So that is what is meaning of reducing the transportation cost by producing near the market to reduce the time and cost involved in transportation. Exporting organization find foreign markets to open up or grow big. They may naturally look at overseas manufacturing plants, sales branches to generate higher sales and better cash flow. For example, Apple. Apple sees India as a very big market. Now, because Apple is seeing India as a very big market, they also want to come and manufacturing India. So that is one more reason. The rise of services to constitute the largest single sector. I told you already. For services, for example, if I have to give some consultancy service, or I have to give some, let's say there is an accounting service I have to give. Okay, so in all of these cases, because of IT, it becomes faster. The apparent and real collapse, basically removal of international trade barriers, redefines the roles of state and industry. So basically, a lot of trade barriers have been opened up. Now you would have learned about, in 1990s, we opened up our economy. Likewise, all the countries, they're opening up their economies, they're reducing the trade barriers. That also helps to improve the international business. Globalization has made companies in different countries to form strategic alliances to ward off economic and technological threats and leverage their respective comparative and competitive advantage. So you'll see a lot of alliances. For example, Tata Starbucks. Okay, one of the earliest alliances in India, Maruti Suzuki. You had Hero Honda. Of course, now this has been split. Hero is separate, Honda is separate. But because you want to get over competition, you want to fight the competition, it is better to collaborate rather than to fight with one another. So recent ones you can see, Disney Hotstar collaborating for better access to market. Now why is Disney collaborating with Hotstar? Disney can get access to the market. Hotstar can get premium content. Okay, Disney can get access to the market and Hotstar can get premium content. That is the whole objective, right? So how many points to remember? See, normally if they ask, they'll ask generally for 5 marks around. So you should be able to write at least 6 to 7 points. Now this is one thing you have to keep in mind. Any theory question, make sure you write, if it's a 5-mark question, write some 7 points if you remember. Okay, so that will ensure that you get an extra buffer and you get a better marks. Right? So that is about international business. Why do businesses go global? Important, market important for examination. Then international environment. Now when we say international environment, it is basically the same external environment analysis that we did for local government, local laws, local economy and all of that. All of that will extend to international, meaning to say international political environment. For example, I have to expand to China. Now, if I have to expand to China, I can't look at Indian political scenario. I have to see the Chinese government. I have to see what Qing Jiangchu would do. Okay, I have to see what are their policies, what kind of policy changes they will make. So, the social, cultural, demographic, environmental, political, government, legal, technological, all of that. You just remember the Vestal framework. Okay, these are all part of your international environment. Okay, now when you look at international environment, when you do the analysis of international environment, you will do at multinational environment analysis, regional environment analysis, country environmental analysis. So basically what are we doing? First we are looking at the multinational environmental analysis. Multinational means more than one nation. Okay, more than one country. So let's say I look at Europe, I look at Asia. It involves identifying, anticipating and monitoring significant components of global environment. Okay, so this is done in a global environment involving multinational, that is a more than one nation. Then regional environment analysis is an in-depth evaluation of critical factors in specific geographical area. So here we are looking at specific geographical area. Here you are looking at more than one nation. So more than one nation, that is what we are looking at. And when we say country environmental analysis, I am looking at a specific country, let us say China. What is happening in the Chinese economy? Okay, so that is also part of my international environment. Right? So in this very, very important part is your why do businesses go global, and that is one thing you have to keep in mind. Good morning Sairam, Kavya. Good morning Aarti, good morning Tanusha. Thanks for joining in and being a part of this. Right, now moving on. So see, one thing that you have to understand here is, first we covered what? First we covered Vestal framework, independent topic. Then we covered why do businesses go global, internationalization of business or global business, and international environment. Okay, then The next important part of external environment is product and industry. Now, what is product? Always remember, customers have certain requirements. To meet those requirements, businesses try to provide them with goods or service. Normally, when we say product, we refer to them as goods, but technically both goods and services are called to be product. Okay, so product can be either a good or service, and this is given to meet the requirement of the customer. Now, products can be either tangible or intangible. Tangible as in goods, intangible as in, let's say, something like a software. So these are the features of product. Second, product has a price. Any product has a price. For example, if you're buying a course from IndigoLearn, it has a price. If you're subscribing to Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever it is, it has a price. Then products have certain features that deliver satisfaction. So as I told you, product satisfies the need of the customer. So whatever product you look at the market, whatever goods or services you see at the market, they are to satisfy certain consumer needs. Just like that, nobody creates a product. Okay, so anything you see, any app you see, for example, instant grocery app or instant delivery app, you look at Amazon, Flipkart, anything you see, any product or any service is existing because there is a consumer who needs that product or service, who has some problem, and the business is trying to solve that particular problem. Features of the product will distinguish it in terms of function, design, quality and experience. So same thing, for example, mobile phone, different qualities, different variants, different models, different features, different cameras and all of that. Product is pivotal for the business. When we say pivotal means something like this. It is at the center. You would have seen a seesaw, right? Or if you remember science, you have something called as pivot. So pivot is something which can change the direction, which can determine how the business will continue. It basically means very, very important and at the center of the business. Product is at the center of the business around which all strategic activities revolve. So depending on the product, I will decide my marketing strategy. Depending on the product, I will decide what kind of deliveries I will be providing. Depending on the product, I will decide what is the price I will charge, what is the advertisement I will do. So it is very, very important for the product, for the business. Product enables production, quality, sales, marketing, logistics and other business processes. Everything will revolve around product. Product is at the center, and that is why we say product is pivotal. Then a product has a useful life. Useful life means we'll understand about product life cycle, where we understand that each product will be there for a specified period of time only. See, there are some products like FMCG, food and all of that. It will remain for a long period of time. After a few years, maybe we'll get something like, some tablet or some kind of, small item which we consume. It will meet our nutrients requirement sometime in distant future. But other than that, if you look at, let's say, mobile phones and all, every phone, every technology has a limited life, right? That is what is the meaning of product has a limited useful life. So what are the features? They are either tangible or intangible. They have a price. They have features that deliver satisfaction. They are pivotal for business and they have a useful life. These are the features of the product. Without product and consumers, business cannot exist. Then we have something called as product life cycle. Like the human beings have life cycle, birth, growth, maturity, death. We also have product life cycle or service life cycle for a particular product. Introduction, growth, maturity, decline. Introduction means initial phase, when the product is first time introduced in the market. Growth means after initial phase is over, more and more customers starts using it, and then it sees a lot of demand uptick. Then maturity. Maturity means stability. There is no much growth and there is a decline, that is the death phase. Now to give you a very simple example, I keep giving this example in the class also for you to remember better. Let us say feature phones. Feature phones means the phones which has the keypads. They are not smartphones. Okay, these were initially launched around, let us say, 2000s. Right? You can ask your parents. There, where it was initially launched, it replaced telephones. So telephones died and mobile phones, they didn't die in 2000, but gradually we saw death for telephones, and in 2000s we saw introduction of mobile phones. Initially, everybody did not accept the mobile phones. Initially, the technology was very costly. Initially, the cost, I remember someone saying 17 rupees per minute was the charge to make a call on mobile phone. In fact, for incoming also, you had to pay. I remember when I started using mobile phones in around 2005 or 2006, I had to pay 2 rupees per minute for every outgoing call. So we used to play this missed call thing. I'll come to your home and I'll give you a missed call, you please come down. Okay, that is how we used to do. Right. Now today if you see at about 299 or something, you get unlimited call, data and everything. So initially sales are low because everybody doesn't accept it. Costs are high and no profits are actually lost situation. Now gradually once the product becomes successful, what happens is more and more people start accepting it. So that will result in increased sales. Cost will reduce because we can produce at a larger scale. Cost will also reduce because we can innovate, we can bring in new technology, we can bring in certain improvements, and then profits are increasing. Now when product enters the growth stage, if you observe nearby your area also, some tea stall is doing good or some tea vendor is doing good, multiple tea shops will open, okay, because everybody sees there is a lot of opportunity. So more players will come into the market. Now when more and more players will come into the market for business, let's say I am running a business, I have achieved certain market share, I will not be able to gain more market share because now more players are there in the market. When more players are there in the market, then I have to start investing on advertisement, I have to start investing on marketing. So my cost also, so whatever the cost benefit I got, it will reduce for some point of time, and after some point of time, it will start increasing, right? So in the maturity phase, what happens is sales becomes pretty constant, cost will reduce or remain stagnant, and profits will be lesser. And in the last decline phase, the particular product becomes outdated. When the particular product becomes outdated, then sales will reduce, cost will remain constant, and profits will reduce. Okay, so at this point of time, the business will see, once it starts into the decline phase, business will see, let us launch a new product. Okay, so you can see this in a lot of cars. One model is launched, it runs for some point of time, then they will launch a new model. So that is how the product life cycle works. So if they ask you about product life cycle, you have to explain these 4 phases of the life cycle. In the introduction phase, sales is low, competition is negligible, prices are high, markets are limited, lower rate of sales growth. In the growth phase, demand expands rapidly, the prices fall, competition increases, new competition, because wherever there is opportunity, new competitors enter into the market. Market expands meaning you will start reaching newer markets. Customer is also having knowledge and is interested in buying. Then in the maturity phase, the growth rate slowdowns, market gets established, competition is tough, profit reduces due to stiff competition, organization have to work for maintaining stability. And in decline phase, sales and profit fall sharply, new product replaces the existing product. So once an existing product dies out, then a new product gets introduced. Okay, then what strategies and all? When either combination of multiple strategies or diversification means starting new products. Retrenchment means removing the product from the market. Right? Then the next concept that we need to understand is value creation. Now, what is value creation? Value creation basically means, for example, if you go to a market and if you say you want to buy a phone. For this mobile phone, you are willing to pay 10,000. This is what is called price. Now, why did you pay 10,000? You pay 10,000 because you are expecting at least 10,000 worth of value or more than 10,000 worth of value. So something you can consider what you learn as utility in economics. It's a similar concept, right? So when we say value of a product or value creation of a by using a particular product, what we mean is what is the business offering to the customer? How is the customer perceiving value? What is the value the customer is getting by using the particular product? What is the satisfaction? What is the problem being solved? All of that is part of value creation. So when businesses exist, what they do is they try to bring in a lot of man, material, labor, machinery, and all of those things. They bring together, they process it, they deliver the product to the customer. And the product should provide some value to the customer. If as a business I am not creating any value, then my business should not exist. Value is measured by product's feature, quality, availability, performance, durability, and by its services for which customers are willing to pay. So value creation means, why is the customer paying me? That is what is called value creation. So when we say value creation, it means increasing the worth of goods, services, and business processes. Right? Now, if a company, so what happens is, for example, if I think this mobile phone is worth 15,000, in my opinion, and I am charged only 10,000, this is the price, this is the value. So this 5,000 is what we call surplus. If we have more surplus, we will be able to market our product better, right? Value creation gives business a competitive advantage in the industry and helps them earn above average profit. So if I am creating more value, I will be able to, capture more and more market. I will be able to sell to more customers. I will be able to make more profit, right? So for example, if you have to choose between, let's say 2 restaurants, both of them provide similar value, but price here is 100, price here is 120. You will obviously prefer the one with price 100. Or if price is same, you want more value. Right? How profitable a company becomes depends on value the customer places on the company's product. So as a customer, what is the value? As a customer, how much value am I putting on the particular product? If I feel this mobile phone is not worth 15,000, it is worth only 7,500, I will not buy. Sir, how will we measure this? It is more of a psychological phenomenon. It is not measured in actual terms. It is more like utility. In my mind, I will do a lot of calculations and I will figure out that, okay, for this product, I am willing to pay, let us say 7,000, 8,000, 10,000, 15,000. That is what is the worth or value of the product. So how profitable a company becomes depends on the value, price, and cost of creating this product. So I told you, right, value versus price. So this is called surplus. If value is higher, my sales will be higher, and if my cost is lower, my profit will be higher. That is how we have to look at. The value customer places on a product reflects the utility they get, and it is a function of product design, performance, quality, point of sale, and after sale service. So a lot of these factors come into picture or come into play when we talk about the utility. Now, one linked concept with this is value chain analysis, or we also call it the Porter's value chain. All these models are very, very important from examination point of view. One or the other model keeps getting tested in the examination. Okay. Now, value chain analysis. Value chain analysis, when we see, what we do is we look at the activities. We look at the activities that a business carries out to provide the product or service, goods or service, whatever we call it. What are the various activities that an entity does or that an entity carries out to provide these goods and services to the customer? Now, Porter's value chain has classified these activities into 2 parts. One is called the primary activities and the second one is called the support activities. Now, what is the meaning of these activities? All of these activities are carried out by an entity. For example, let us say there is a manufacturing company. Now, that manufacturing company, what they have to do is they have to get the material, they have to carry out the production process, then they have to supply that to the customer. You need human resource, you need information technology, you need a lot of those things. Now, this is a basic model. You can have more activities as well, where what Michael Porter, what he thought was, there are 5 primary activities, core activities, and there are 4 support activities. You can have more than that also. Now, what is this primary activity? Inbound logistics. Basically, this is to do with purchase and logistics. Purchase of raw material, selection of supplier, vendor, and all of those things. Operations. This is to move your input to output. Now, once output is ready, you will not keep it with you. You have to carry out outbound logistics, supply it to the customer. Marketing and sales. Marketing is identifying the requirement of the customer and fulfilling the requirement. Sales, the actual activity of selling. And service. After the sale, what do you carry out to service the customer? So these 5 are called primary activities. Now, when we say value chain analysis, what Michael Porter believed is that with each of these activity, we can add value to the customer. For example, something easier to understand, exceptional service. Now, if I have to ask you, which companies or which products do you think have given exceptional service? Right? Now, if I give exceptional service, the customers will be happy, they will get me more customers. They will pay me the price. Okay. Same way, outbound logistics. After manufacturing a product, how do I supply the product to the customer? Marketing. How will the customer get to know about me, my product and all of those things? So that is what is understood as a value chain analysis in the entire operating setup. Then all of these primary activities will not happen on their own. We need support of these secondary activities, firm infrastructure, human resource, technology and procurement, right? So coming back, what is value chain analysis? Describing the activities within and around an organization. So basically, what are the activities a company or an organization carries out? That is what is done in the value chain analysis. Now, one of the important analysis that we use, or the model that we use, is Michael Porter's, for which we identify the activities and assess the value added from each activity. Now, one way what we can understand is, for example, in outbound logistics, if there is some activity which does not add value to the customer, that activity has to be eliminated. For example, if there is a lot of storage time, excessive storage time does not increase the value of the product or the value of the product to the customer. So what we should do, we should remove that. Okay, so that is what we do in the analysis, that okay, these are all the various activities we carry out, and in these activities, if there is something which does not add value to the end product, then we should try to eliminate that activity. The first one is primary activity: inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and service. Inbound logistics means basically when the material comes to my warehouse, when the material comes from the supplier's place, so you have to receive, store, distribute the inputs, material handling, stock control, transport. Now this inbound logistics is directly linked, not inbound logistics, this is procurement, is directly linked to procurement, because if I have to receive my material, I have to procure it from somewhere. So I have to figure out where are my vendors, what kind of vendors I am dealing with, what kind of products will they supply, all of those things, right? So that is what is inbound logistics. Then operations. After I receive the raw material, it has to be transformed into final product. So transformation of input to final product is the operations part. Then outbound logistics. Outbound logistics is to provide, collect, store and distribute the product to the customers. So for example, what inbound does is you get the raw material from inbound logistics. Operation, this raw material becomes finished goods. Outbound logistics, this finished goods is sent to the customer by using outbound logistics, transportation and all of those related aspects. Then marketing and sales. Marketing and sales is basically identifying the requirement of the customer and telling the customer that, see boss, we have this and this kind of product. So consumers are made aware of the product service, and the consumers, you try to make the consumer purchase the product. It includes sales, administration, advertising, selling. Communication network helps users to access a particular service. So when we do marketing and sales, we are basically telling the customer that, see, I have this particular product, I have this particular service, why don't you access it? Service is basically after sales, installation, repair and all of those things. So what Michael Porter suggested is, we can break down the entity's operations or activities into 5 primary activities, which will help to improve the value provided to the customer. Then secondary activities, procurement. So what are the various inputs required? right? Purchasing, vendor sorting and all of that. Then technology development. All value activities have technology. So it is not only IT, any technology like research and development, process development, resource improvement, etc. Then human resource development, very, very important. These are the support system. Without human beings, without human resources, we will not be able to do the or carry out the operations. And infrastructure. Infrastructure relates to multiple aspects. One is, when we say infrastructure, one is what is your organizational structure. Okay. Then what is your physical infrastructure, like buildings and all of those things, right? And then planning, finance, quality control, management. So all of these, which are infrastructure, they form based on which the entity or the secondary activities support the primary activities. So again, we have support activities which will help the primary activities to achieve the value creation process. So here in infrastructure, you can also add firm infrastructure like buildings, finance, etc. Okay, so that is what is called the value chain analysis by Michael Porter. Now, Porter also talks about managing linkages. Now, what is this managing linkages? Managing linkages means, see, there are a lot of these activities: logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing, and these activities also. Each activity is linked. You can't say my inbound activity is done or my inbound logistic is done and hence there is no further requirement. That is not how it works, right? So, if you look at any company, let us say look at Maruti Suzuki. Excellent distributor network. Okay. Now, if you do not have that excellent distributor network, one of the activities in your, let us say, outbound logistics, it becomes difficult for the company to survive or sell in the market. Core competencies may be imitated by competitors over time. So if you have some core competencies which can be imitated, but it will be difficult to imitate if they relate to management of linkages within the organization value chain and linkages to supply and distribution chain. So all linkages, when we say linkages of operations to inbound, linkages of, let's say, procurement to inbound logistics, then outbound logistics to marketing and sales. If you have strong linkages, if they are connected well, then it becomes difficult to imitate. Specialization of roles and responsibilities is one way in which high level of competence in separate activities is achieved. Now, specialization, if you see, for example, let's say, companies like Blue Dart, same day delivery or 24-hour delivery, or if you look at, things what have come up recently, if you look at the quick commerce. Okay. Now, quick commerce means instant delivery, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes delivery. Now, if you specialize in those areas, then in that case, you will have high levels of competencies in separate activities, in those specific activities. For example, some companies have great, specialization or great competency in research and development, in technology development. You look at companies like, let's say, Apple. Okay, so there, because you have specialization, it will help you to manage the linkage. Then, another part or another aspect that we have to look at is, if there is any incompatible situation where different departments are pulling in different directions, which increases the cost. Now, all of these departments that we have seen, they have to work together. If they are working in different directions, inbound logistics says, I will do what I have to do. Whether you need to procure or not, I will get hundreds of trucks for my inbound logistic process. That will not work. Okay, so those things also you have to keep in mind. So you have to manage linkages between primary activities, all of those 5, between primary activity and support activity. As I told you, inbound logistics is closely linked to procurement. Some things like technology development. Let us say here you build an ERP system. This ERP system will help all of these activities, and also between support activities. For example, for technology development, you need human resource. Okay, so for human resource, again, you have to rely on the secondary activity. In addition to management of linkages, competitive advantage may also be gained by the ability to complement, coordinate the organization's own activities with those of suppliers, channels or customers. So now here, some things, for example, you have a vendor. If you have a proper linkage with vendor, even then you can improve your competencies. So for example, you can use vertical integration. Now vertical integration means, we'll understand this in subsequent chapter in more detail. If you are in a particular supply chain, you are adding more layers to the supply chain in the vertical supply chain. So either you are moving towards the supplier or you are moving towards the consumer. Specifying requirements and controlling the performance of suppliers can help quality enhancement and cost reduction. So if I can, give proper direction or proper requirement to the customer or to the vendor, I can reduce my cost. TQM, total quality management, will help to improve performance through closer working relationship between specialists within the value system. So we are not only talking about improvement of quality at one aspect, we are looking at TQM, total quality management. The entire the management, the entire quality of entire process and all the set of activities, it has to be improved. Then, so that is about Porter's value chain analysis. Then another small concept that is to do with industry environmental analysis. This is the same as external environment analysis, just that we are bringing the industry specific aspect. Okay. Now when we say industry environmental analysis, we will look at the industry. Industry is what? Industry is group of firms. What do this group of firms do? This group of firms are in the same product line. So like we have automobile industry, like we have airline industry, like we have cement industry. So all of that is part of industry environment analysis. Now when we say industry environmental analysis, what we are trying to do or what we are trying to achieve is, how do I analyze my industry in which I am functioning? Okay, that is the whole objective. How do I analyze or how do I look at what is happening in the industry? Now we'll look at some tools where we will see the industry. Now when I say industry, when there is a group of firms, this is to do something with competition. What is happening in the competitive environment, that is what we'll analyze. We will see what is our position. We will also see what is the position of the competition. So an important aspect of industry analysis is competitive landscape. Now competitive landscape means identifying who is my competitor, because if I am, let us say, Rolls-Royce and on the other hand we have Maruti. Now you can't, Rolls-Royce will not say Maruti is my competitor, because they are selling cars in crores, 2 crores for example. They are selling cars at 5 lakhs. How will that be direct competition? So identifying the right kind of competition is very, very important. That is what we'll understand in competitive landscape. So here we see steps to understand competitive landscape. This is important, where you will try to understand who is the competitor, understand the competitor, strength of the competitor, weakness of the competitor, put all the information together and take appropriate decision. So when we say identify the competitors, who are my competitors? I have to identify. So we have something called as strategic group mapping that helps us identify who is my who is my actual competitor. Understand the competitor. What are the product services being offered? We can use market research, report, internet and other sources to understand the competitor. Determine the strengths. Why are customers buying from my competition? Why are customers buying from my competition? And what is the financial position of my competition? All of those things. And what gives them the cost and price advantage. So try to understand that. Then determine the weakness. What are they lacking? Go through customer reports, complaint available, go to Google reviews. I know a lot of them are fake, but still go to Google reviews, go to what students talk about the specific let us say tuition provider. So determine the weakness, put all the information together and determine what are the improvement, which areas can be strengthened, and how can firm exploit the weakness of the competitor. So by following these steps, we can understand the competition. So that is about how to understand competitive landscape or how to evaluate competition. This is one thing which is very important because a lot of times we see direct questions as well. Now, moving on, once we have understood who is my competition, what I have to do to get hold of my competition and all of those things, the next thing is how do I get competitive success, for which a very important parameter is key success factor. Now, when we discussed initially in the beginning also, we said one of the objective of strategy is to win over the competition. We work in a competitive environment, and because we work in a competitive environment, one of the activities or one of the objectives is to have competitive success. Competitive success means how can I win over the competition, for which we need a very important part called key success factor. Again, very important, remember the definition. And industry key success factors are those that most affect the industry members' ability to prosper in the marketplace, like resources, financial resources, managerial resources, human resources, competencies, capabilities, and ultimately achieve competitive success and failure. So, these are the factors that most affect the industry members' ability to prosper in the marketplace. This decides what will be the success in the marketplace. KSFs are also important, that all firms in the industry must pay close attention to them, because they are the rules that shape whether a company will be financially and competitively successful. So KSF are very important because that will decide whether the company will be financially and competitively successful. Managers also need to understand the industry situation well enough to know what is more important to competitive success. So what do managers need to do? Managers need to understand what is important to their competitive success. Misdiagnosing the industry factors critical to long-term success raises the risk of misdirected strategy. So if you are not able to understand these industry factors, the critical key success factors, then we will form incorrect strategies. If you have a good understanding of industry KSF, you will stand out, and you can use the industry KSF and try to gain sustainable competitive advantage by excelling at one particular KSF in a competitive environment. Now, just an example of key success factor. Let us say quick delivery, high quality products, okay, excellent customer service. All of these we have to pick up. See, there will be a lot of key success factors, and if you see, each company is differentiating themselves on one or the other key success factor. Some phone who will market, they'll say we have 100 megapixel camera, moonshot, shoot the moon, right? So that is our the quality that we are offering to the customer. So what you have to do is we have to identify what are the key success factors in the industry. If we have to be successful, what are the key success factors? And pick 1, 2 or 3 key success factors, work on them, and you will be successful in the industry. Now, how do we identify what are the key success factors? You have to ask, what is the customer, why does the customer choose between competing brands? If there are 10 brands, why is the customer going with a particular brand? That is the first thing. What resources and competitive capabilities that a seller need to have to be successful? So, first is why does customer choose what they are choosing? Second is, what resources and capabilities a seller needs to have to be successful? So what are the resources, what are the capabilities a seller must have so that they are successful? And how can a seller achieve sustainable competitive advantage? So not only competitive advantage which can be sustained. See, if the competitive advantage can be copied, if somebody else can do what we are doing, then it is of no use. But if we can sustain the competitive advantage, then that will be useful. So, how to identify key success factors? What is the basis of customers? How do they choose our product? That is the first thing. Second, what resources and competitive capabilities the seller needs to have? And lastly, how can seller achieve a sustainable competitive advantage? Key success factors vary from industry to industry, from time to time within the same industry. An industry at a time has only about 3 or 4 KSF, and only 1 or 2 outrank the others in importance. So, what you need to understand is you don't need to have 100 of KSF. You have 2 or 3 key success factors. Using that key success factors, you can get the competitive advantage. Then, another important aspect when we do industry analysis is identifying the financial attractiveness of the industry. Now, as I told you earlier. Sipping some water. Now, if you look at any industry, or if you are a business and you have to decide, should I start a particular business? Should I go into a particular industry or not? Now, for that, we have to look at what is the prospect and what is the financial attractiveness of the industry. Meaning to say, if I enter into the industry, whether I'll be profitable or not. How is the competition? Okay, what is the margins that I will get? How will I catch the customer? What is the largest player doing? Will I be able to fight the largest player? All of those things we have to keep in mind if you are looking at to enter into a particular industry. So, if the question is about what is the prospect and financial attractiveness of the industry, you have to see industry's growth potential. Will the industry grow in the future? Competitive forces that will become stronger or weaker. So, what we'll understand this in is again in Porter's 5 forces. A detailed understanding of what is the attractiveness of the industry, profitability, whether it will be profitable or not, degree of risk and uncertainty, how much of risk is there in that particular industry, competitive position, likely to grow stronger or weaker. I think this is a repetition. Potential to capitalize on vulnerabilities on weaker rivals. So, if rivals are weaker, if in a particular industry there are some players which are weaker, can I dominate them? Can I take away some share from them? That is one more thing you have to keep in mind. And problems in the industry. So, for example, if you look at airline. Now, if you have to enter into the airline industry, there are a lot of problems. Or if you look at telecom industry, there are a lot of problems. So, do you want to enter into that industry or not? So, you will see all of these things to decide whether there are enough prospects and whether the industry is financially attractive or not. Now, based upon this and the previous discussion, we have a very important model which is Porter's 5 forces model. Now, this Porter's 5 forces model, some references you will see in the previous chapters also. So, it is very, very important for Michael Porter believed that there are these 5 parts or 5 components, you may call it, which you have to evaluate when you are evaluating a particular industry. Okay, so if you have to okay, there's some small issue. I'm just trying to rectify that. Yeah. So, what Porter believed is in any industry, if you look at, these are the forces. These are the forces within the industry, the 5 forces, which will decide how competitive, what is the level of competitiveness in the industry, how attractive is the industry. All of that can come from these 5. Now, here, one side is the buyer or customer. On the other side, we have supplier. Buyer, supplier, customer, supplier. Then we have new entrants and substitution, and lastly the competitive rivalry. So what Michael Porter suggested is that if you look at any industry or if you look at any particular industry and if you see that the suppliers have a lot of bargaining power. The suppliers are huge, there are few suppliers, they can dominate the market, it becomes difficult to survive in such kind of industry. Same way, if customers have a lot of bargaining power, now bargaining power is not the bargaining power like if you go to a shop and they say 100 rupees is the cost and then you say 80, that is not the bargaining power. Bargaining power also means how much of terms and conditions that the customer can dictate. For example, the customer says, I need 90 days credit period. You say, no, I can't give you 90 day credit period. I will give you only 45 days credit period. Customer says, Tata bye bye, I'll go to the other supplier. Okay. So how much can customer bargain and how much can supplier bargain? That will decide whether the industry is attractive or not. That is one side. Then, threat of new entrants. How easy it is for a new entrant to start a business in your given industry or in the industry in which you are evaluating or understanding. So, if there are threat of new entrants, if new entrants can come in easily, then the industry is not very attractive. Same way, threat of substitution. How easily can customers switch from your product or one product to another product? If they can easily switch, industry is not attractive. Because, for example, earlier we could not switch mobile numbers from one operator to another operator. Subsequently, what the government did? The government said, nothing doing. You can switch numbers from one operator to another operator. Now, when that is done, when you can move from one operator to another operator easily, then customer will start looking at which will give me the cheapest price, which will give me the cheapest data. Okay, and then customer will decide and start switching. Right. So, if substitution threat is high, if customers can easily switch, it is unattractive. If customer cannot switch easily, for example, you have implemented SAP, very difficult to switch to another accounting system. So there for SAP it becomes a very attractive position, right? So let us understand each one of these. First one, the threat of new entrant. Barriers to entry represent economic forces and hurdles that slow down or impede entry by other firms. So basically what it means is, can new entrant, how easy or difficult it is for new entrant to start a business. See, it is very easy for me to start a retail shop, but very difficult for me to set up a manufacturing plant or an automobile manufacturing plant, right? So that is what you have to look at it. Common barriers to entry are, you can remember this acronym big space, capital requirements for C. If large amount of capital is required, then firm lacking funds are effectively barred from the industry. Meaning to say, new firms cannot enter easily. Small firms cannot enter easily. So that is the first thing. Second, economies of scale. If you can achieve economies of scale, what will happen? Your per unit cost will decline. So if you have a large firm, you are a large firm that enjoys economy of scale, you can lower the cost. If you are a large firm. Now, if you are already a large firm, a new firm cannot enter into the market easily and compete with you. See, if you are doing already 10,000 units, a new firm producing 1,000 units may not be able to compete with you effectively. So, if you have a high economy of scale, or if you are working at a larger scale, new entrant will find difficult to enter into the market and take away your market share. Then, product differentiator or differentiation. Cost of creating genuine differentiated product may be too high for the new entrants. Meaning, if my product is unique, if my product has unique capabilities, unique features and all of those things, then new entrants will find it difficult to enter. The barrier to entry will be higher. On the other hand, if the product differentiation is lower, then the barrier to entry also will be lower and customers, new players will be easily able to come into the market. Switching cost, this is also linked with the substitution cost. If it is easy, or the switching cost to the customers, if it is lower, for example, you are using a particular service. Tomorrow, a new service comes into the market. If the switching cost is very low and you can switch easily, more players will try to enter into the market. But if switching costs are higher, I told you about SAP, switching cost is very high. It's very difficult to move after you have implemented SAP. Now, in that case, the barriers to entry will be higher. So, barriers, what you have to understand is, it is like a wall, or it is like a, let us say a bar which is put across, right? Now, if this is higher, new entrants will have to put more efforts to enter into the market. If it is lower, new entrants can enter into the market easily. So, to open a, let's say, tea stall, there is hardly any barrier to entry. But if I say I have to open, to open a tea plantation or a tea factory, then the barrier to entry will be very high. Then brand image. If some company or if the existing firm has a very good brand image, then if the brand image is higher, the barrier to entry will be higher. Access to distribution channels. Now, access to distribution channels means what? If you have good distribution channel or if you can control the distribution channel, the barrier to entry is higher because new player will take longer time to set up the distribution channel. Government regulation. Now, some government regulation, some industry like let's say the banking industry and all of that, even if you have money, bank will, the RBI will not give you a license. So, if it is highly regulated, barrier to entry will be higher. Intellectual properties. So, if in some industry there is protection because of intellectual property, the barrier to entry will automatically be higher because new player cannot come easily and start the production of the product in the question. Possibility of aggression, meaning to say, if existing firms will retaliate aggressively, then the barrier to entry will be higher. For example, if a new player wants to come into the market and the existing player, they will retaliate aggressively, they will take aggressive actions, then in that case, the barrier to entry will be higher. So you can remember this acronym. No need to write all of them in the examination. If for example they ask you what are 5 forces, then each one you will explain and maybe pick up a couple of examples and write it in the answer. Then threat of substitutes. What is the meaning of threat of substitutes? If you have more number of substitutes possible, then it will be easy for the new players to come into the market or come into the industry and start. Okay. If the threat of substitute is high, profitability is impacted. Threat of substitute is low, profitability will not be impacted. Meaning to say, if I have a product, let us say I have a product in mobile. Now I have a product mobile phone based on Android. There are hundreds of other players. Customers can easily switch, and because the threat, so threat of substitute means how easily can customers substitute the products. In that case, if the threat is high, then the attractiveness of the industry is lower. For example, if you have to fill petrol, now you will not bother in most of the cases whether you are filling it from, let's say, Indian Oil or Bharat Petroleum or whichever petrol pump you are filling it up, right? So the threat of substitute is, if it is higher, the profitability will be impacted. Then bargaining powers of buyers. Now buyers can sometimes exert pressure on the firms to lower their prices or improve their services. When buyers have full knowledge, they spend a lot of money, they are big buyers. The industry product is not perceived as critical to the buyer's need, means it is not, the product is not very important. In that case, the buyer will start threatening. Buyers are more concentrated than the firm supplying in the market, and they can easily switch to the substitutes available. So what it basically means is, if the buyers have full knowledge, if the supplier's product is not very important, then in that case, the buyers will have a higher bargaining power. If buyers have higher bargaining power, the profitability in the industry will be lower. Bargaining power of suppliers. Now, when we talk about bargaining powers of supplier, that is basically how much can the supplier bargain, and this will determine the cost of material and other inputs in the industry. They can have higher power when the products are crucial and substitutes are not available. If there are only 1 or 2 suppliers, or if there are only 1 or 2 suppliers of a given raw material, you are dependent on them. They will dictate the terms. You cannot do anything. Okay. So that terminology, right? Customer is the king. It depends on what the customer is buying. Then they can erect high switching cost. So if substitutes are not available, then they will put a very high switching cost. Meaning to say, for example, SAP. Now, high switching cost means it is not that they will demand high cost. They will put their architecture in such a way, they will implement the system in such a way, it will be very difficult for the entity to switch. They are more concentrated than their buyers. Concentrated than their buyers means suppliers are, let us say, some few suppliers, buyers are multiple in number. Okay, in that case again, the supplier bargaining power is higher. So bargaining power of buyer is higher when the customer is large, fewer customers, Product has many substitutes. Supplier is large, many customers. Product has fewer substitutes. Now, if bargaining power of supplier is higher, profitability will be impacted. So, how will the profitability be impacted? The profitability will be impacted because supplier will dictate the prices. You will not be able to ask for discounts. Supplier will say, if you want to buy, otherwise Tata bye. I have other customers to serve. Okay. Then the last one, rivalry in the industry, means what is the rivalry amongst the existing players in the particular industry. So this is basically about intensity of the competition or intensity of the rivalry. If there is a cutthroat competition, then it becomes very difficult for a new player to enter into the market. Profitability will go down. Okay. If it is a cutthroat competition, profitability will go down. Whereas if the competition is very low, then new players can enter into the market and take advantage of it. Rivalry amongst the competitors tend to be cutthroat and industry profitability lowers due to these factors. So if there is more fight, profitability automatically starts reducing. So some factors, industry leader. Right. Now, if there is a clear-cut industry leader, they can discourage price war, and small rivals usually avoid initiating such a war. So, if there is a clear-cut industry leader, then other players or new players or smaller players, they will not indulge into fights. Number of competitors. If number of competitors is higher, then the competition becomes more intense, because more number of competition means what? More number of competitive players means what? There are more options to buy for the customers. So the ability to exert pricing discipline diminishes. If there is a single leader, he will say price is, let us say, 100. Smaller players will follow this. If there are more number of competitors, whatever the leader says, nobody will listen. Okay. Then fixed cost. When rivals operate at a high fixed cost, they have a need to utilize their full capacity and therefore end up cutting prices. Very, very important. That is, if fixed costs are higher, I have to recover all my fixed costs. I have to utilize my capacity to the maximum. So what will I do? I will produce more. If I produce more, supply increases. If supply increases, price has to come down. Exit barriers. Rivalry among competitors decline if some competitors leave the industry. Profitability increases in industry with few exit barriers, meaning to say how easy it is to exit. See, initially we talked about entry. We also need to see how easy it is to exit a particular industry. For example, banks. It is not easy to exit. There are a lot of exit barriers. You have to comply with the regulatory requirements. Same way, airline industry, not easy to exit. Telecom industry, not easy to exit. Okay. So, if there are more exit barriers, then more players will be in the industry and the intensity of rivalry increases. Then product differentiation. If there are differentiating products in the industry, if the firms are differentiating their product in the industry, then competitors have little opportunity to differentiate their offering. If my product is a differentiated product, competitor will not be able to have an opportunity to differentiate their offering, and because of which profitability is higher, that offer opportunity for differentiation. If differentiation is lower, profitability is also lower. Slow growth. Industry where growth is slowing down face more rivalry, means limited opportunities. So you see a lot of this FMCG companies, cutthroat competition, your advertisement, your marketing, placement of products, all of that very very high, because growth is slow. Sir, why is growth slow? See, whatever you will eat, for example, food, the growth in food industry will be with respect to the population growth. It will not be more than that. So, if there is a slow growth, then there is more intense rivalry. So, you can remember these points for examination to explain briefly what determines the rivalry in the industry. Now, in examination, you are not expected to write all of these for a 5-mark question. Okay. If they ask you Porter 5 forces, you have to explain each forces Briefly explain what causes each of these forces and impact on the profitability in the industry. If they ask only one specific force, which I don't expect, but even if they ask, for example, rivalry, then you have to explain why rivalry, what is the impact of rivalry, what is the impact on profitability, and some of these parameters which will impact the rivalry or intensity in the industry. Now, after we have understood the Porter's 5 forces, the model part, we have to look at the attractiveness of the industry. Now, attractiveness of the industry means what? Attractiveness of the industry means whether the industry is attractive enough for us to enter into the particular business. Okay. Now, how will we get to know? We'll get to know by asking these questions or evaluating these parameters. First, what is the industry's growth potential? Will it grow? Will it not grow? Then, whether competition currently permits adequate profitability and whether competitive forces will become stronger or weaker. Means, how is the current competition? In the given current competitive scenario, if we enter into the market, will we have opportunity to make better profits? Whether industry profitability will be favorable or unfavorably affected by the prevailing driving forces. Then, what is the competitive position of an organization in the industry and whether its position is likely to grow stronger or weaker? So, what is the growth potential? Whether there will be adequate profitability, whether the profitability will be favorably or unfavorably impacted by the driving forces, the 5 forces. Competitive position in the industry, potential to capitalize on vulnerabilities of weaker rivals. So, will we be able to take advantage of weaker rivals? Whether the company is able to defend against or counteract the factors that make the industry unattractive. So let us say there is intensity of competition, or there is bargaining power of supplier, or there is bargaining power of customers, or there is a threat of substitution. Now that threat is there, but can the company defend against or counteract those factors? That is another important part. Risk and uncertainty in the industry future, problems in the industry, whether continued participation in the industry adds importantly to the firm's ability to be successfully in other industries. So, by joining or by going into a particular industry, can I improve my profitability, my performance in other industry? So, again, these factors to consider. What? Attractiveness of industry. Sir, in exam, can we write real life examples? Yes, you can write real life examples, no problem. Okay. Now, some smaller components of external environment, important, not smaller in the sense of what we have to learn and understand. Market and customer. Market, where buyer and seller meets. Where buyer and seller meets, that place is called market. Market is a place for interested parties, buyers and sellers, where items and services can be exchanged for a price. So where products can be exchanged for a price, that place is called market. Market might be physical, for example, a vegetable market, a departmental store. It can be virtual, such as an online market, for example, a stock market. Market might be used to describe the stock exchange where securities are traded. So even a stock market is a market. It may refer to a group of individuals trying to buy a specific commodity in a specific place, such as vegetable market, grain market, etc. Right? So that is the market. Now, if there is a market, we said there is a buyer, there is a seller, and the point of discussion is product. Now, you cannot make or build any random product and go to the market. What you need to do is, you need to understand what the buyers want. Based on that, you will create the product and provide it to the market. Marketing terminology is related to identifying the requirement or the need of the customers. Marketing encompasses a wide range of operations including research, identifying what the customer wants, designing, pricing, promotion, transportation and distribution. Often, market activities are categorized and explained in the terms of 4 P's of marketing: product, place, pricing and promotion. The 4 kinds of marketing activities help marketers identify customer needs so they may meet their demands and deliver the satisfaction. So basically, when we say marketing is used to identify the requirement of the customers and provide the product or the services that are required by the customers. Okay, that is the meaning of marketing. We have 4 P's of marketing: product, place, pricing and promotion. Earlier we used to have a detailed chapter on this. Now that has been removed. The orientation of product marketing has evolved and acquired different dimensions centered around product, production, sales and customer. So marketing is all about now product, production, sales and customer. So the marketing has to focus on these parameters. Business that have product orientation think that buyers will choose those products that have the best quality, performance, design or features. So some businesses who have a product orientation, what are they thinking? They are thinking that buyers will choose those products that have the best quality, performance, design or features. That is businesses who have product orientation. Business who have production orientation believe that customers will choose low price products. And sales oriented business believe that if they spend enough money on advertisement and sales promotion, customers can be persuaded to make a purchase. So basically what they're doing, what they're saying that as far as marketing is concerned, one aspect is product orientation. If I have a product orientation, then buyers will choose the products that have the best quality. So my thinking is buyers will choose the product which have the best quality. Okay. Then if I have production orientation, I am thinking customers will choose low price products. Then if I am sales oriented, I believe that if I spend money on advertisement, sales and promotions, customers will make the purchase. In a customer or market oriented approach, strategies prioritize efforts on their customers. So basically, if I am customer or market oriented, then I will put my efforts on the customers. So different aspects. Either I am focusing on customer or focusing on sales, production or product. Okay. So one of these four orientation is possible. So when you look at the market, how do you put your product? Right? How do you market your product? How do you get the customers? How do you meet the requirement of the customers? It can be out of these four orientation: product, production, sales and customers. A customer-centric business is one that continues to learn from customers' need and market dynamics. So basically, customers becomes the center focus. Now, who is a customer? Customer is the one who buys the product or services from organization. And there is one more term called consumer. They are individual or business that consume or utilize the product and services. So for example, if you are or if your parents buy the product, they are your customer. The parents are the customer. Let's say they buy the classes. Consumers are the students. Consumers are the students. Now one very important part is customer analysis. Basically identifying customer, what is their wants and how the product meet those needs, and you analyze by carrying out customer surveys. So basically what you're trying to do is, when you say customer analysis, you are breaking down the customer compositions. For example, breaking it down by the level of income, breaking it down by geography, breaking it down by, let us say, the type of products they consume, age, income levels. So by carrying out customer analysis, you profile the customers considering relevant demographic information or gathering information to assess the effect, needs and desires of the consumers. So basically what you are doing here, you are trying to analyze the customer, what they need, what they want. You are breaking them down, you are segmenting them, and you are creating profiles of the customers. So one best example could be, let's say, Facebook or Insta. Huge profile. What is your interest level? What are the types of videos you like? What is your education interest? Right? Based on that, they will serve you content, and we continuously keep on swiping, browsing and wasting our time. Then we have another aspect around customer behavior. Customer behavior means or explains how they purchase a product. Right? How they purchase a product. Is it impulsive? You do a lot of research and then buy. You do all, you consider a lot of let's say offers and then buy. It examines elements like shopping frequency, product preferences, perception of your marketing and service offering. So how do they purchase the product? Whether it is on a monthly basis or what kind of product, or how do you look at the marketing offerings and all of those things. Understanding these details allows the business to communicate with the customers in an effective manner. Understanding the behavior of customers enables the business to establish effective marketing and advertising campaigns. So you have to understand why is the customer behaving in a particular manner, and based on why is the customer behaving in a particular manner, you have to decide your marketing. Customer behavior may be influenced by a number of things. External influences like your friends group, your peer group, your social norms, advertisement and all of those things, they are external. Then internal influences, these are more to do with the psychological factors, right? So psychological factors like, for example, I have a desire to own a particular car. So that psychological factor comes into my decision making. Then decision making part, which is a rational customer, by seeking information about the potential decision and integrate this with the existing knowledge about the product. So one is influence. External influence, my friends are using the product, so I want the product. External. Internal influence, what the way I think, the way I've been brought up. Decision making, what will I do? I will see what is the product availability, what are the features, what are the characteristics, and by considering all of that, I will take the decision. This is more called a rational decision. This is a rational decision making, right? So with this, we come to the broadly the end of the chapter on external environment. The things we understood about external environment and the two important models, value chain and Porter 5 forces, right? So now what we'll do is we'll take a 10-minute break and we'll assemble back at 9:40 and we'll start with strategic choices. There is some issue in connecting camera. Just give me a moment. Connected. Okay, so now we'll continue with the next part, that is strategic choices, the fourth chapter of your study material and fifth chapter as per our material. Now, what are strategic choices? See, we have understood that an organization has goals, objectives, vision, mission and all of that. Then what happens is you do analysis of the environment, internal, external. You identify what are the opportunities, what are the threats, and what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and then subsequently you make certain choices. Choices means what to do. What to do. For example, as a business, should we expand? Should we introduce new products? Should we acquire another company? Should we merge? Should we shut down some business? Right? So that is what is called strategic choices. Now, when we talk about strategic choices, strategies are formed at the corporate level, the business level, and the functions level. And we are currently discussing about the corporate level, which is the highest level of strategic decision making. They talk about objective of the firm, acquisition, allocation of resources, and coordinating various strategies of various SBUs. Now, we can have corporate, business and function level strategies, or on the basis of business life cycle, we can have market penetration, growth, stability and retrenchment strategy, or we can have on the basis of competitive strategies, leadership, focus, differentiation, collaboration, joint venture, strategic alliance, merger, acquisition. This is just a summary. Now, we'll talk about the corporate strategies, which is the stability, expansion, retrenchment and combination strategies, which is the first part of our discussion, where we'll be understanding what can a firm do, what can a business do to grow, to meet their corporate objectives, what can they do. The first one is the stability strategy. Stability strategy means we'll continue where we are. We'll continue where we are. We are not bothered about the growth, or we are not only growth, we don't want to grow exponentially. We are happy where we are. It is a status quo strategy and it will involve minor improvement in product or packaging, means we will not do things very differently. We are happy with what we are doing, we are okay with what we are doing, and with that we will achieve our objectives. It is staying in and concentrating on the same business, same market and maintaining the same level of effort. Basically, doing what we have been doing without great improvement. It is not a do nothing strategy. It can be a true and false question. It involves keeping track of new development to ensure current strategy continues to make sense. It is a way of attempting to enhance the functional efficiency in an incremental way. So basically, we are doing small, minor improvement changes and all of those things, but we are not doing anything significant or anything great in terms of changes. It tries to protect existing strengths with very minimal addition to investment and functional efficiency. So protect whatever you are doing currently, protect that. Focus of business enterprises when we are following stability, safeguarding the existing interest, pursuing tested objectives, continuing the chosen business path, maintaining operational efficiency, consolidating the commanding position and optimize the return. So basically, we are not doing significant changes, we are continuing with what we have been doing by making minor incremental changes. Features: goal is to serve same and similar market, pursued when focus is on incremental improvement, taken by firms whose product have reached maturity stage. So when do we follow stability strategy? When we have the maturity stage. When expansion is perceived as being threatening and therefore less changes are desirable. Sometimes when you try to expand, that can be threatening as well. So in that case, you can follow the stability strategy. Small organizations who want to consolidate their market position can follow this strategy. And then subsequently they will move to the growth strategy. So initially, small organization who want to consolidate. Consolidate means if I have achieved a certain level of market share, I don't want to lose that. For that I will follow the stability strategy. Right? Now, if it's a 5-mark question, you have to explain what is the strategy, some of the focus here, and what are the features. Characteristics: nothing new is being done. Status quo, less risky. We already discussed all of that. Does not require more investment. So no requirement of much investment. Minor improvements. Utilize existing resources to get maximum benefit. Incremental improvements and modest growth. Modest growth means low growth. Suitable for which strategy? Maturity. When you are in the maturity phase. Major reasons for choosing stability strategy. Why do we choose when we are in the maturity phase? Management employees are comfortable with the status quo. Management is risk averse. Risk averse means they don't want to take risk. Okay, if you are a risk averse entity, you will follow the stability strategy. Expansion may be perceived as being threatening. Environment, the business is stable, and after a period of expansion, consolidating the market position. So this can be a separate independent question. What is the reason for stability strategy? So first one, stability. Then the second one. The second one is growth or expansion strategy. Now when you say growth or expansion, it is just exactly opposite of stability. Stability is what? Status quo. Let it grow at a smaller, slower pace. We are not bothered. We are not bothered with the lower growth. But what is this expansion strategy? When environment demands increase in pace of activity, we follow this particular strategy. It involves, very important, this part, redefining the business by enlarging the scope of business without continuing the status quo, leading to new products, new markets, and innovative decisions. So basically, we are saying we are not happy with the status quo. We are moving forward, new products, new markets, new technology, and related aspects. When expansion may lead to greater control over the market. So if expansion can help us get more market share, we will follow this strategy. It requires substantial increase, so more investment is needed. It is opposite of stability strategy. It will also include, it may include mergers and acquisitions, redefining the business product. High risk are compensated with high rewards. It leads to business growth, newer investment, versatile, and all of those things. Now, when we talk about growth strategy, internal growth strategy can be achieved through either intensification or diversification. Intensification means increase the level of existing operations by doing the same way in a more effective way. Intensify. Diversification means either going into new product, market, having substantially different skills, technology, and knowledge. Now this diversification, and then subsequently we will also see about Ansou's matrix. There is a slight difference. So if they just ask about diversification, this is what is relevant for you. If they ask Ansou's matrix, then you have to give as per Ansou's matrix. Reasons: growth in environment, growth oriented management. After initial consolidation, when the firms want to grow exponentially. Here what did we say? Small organization who want to consolidate and then prepare for growth. So after you have consolidated means, if for example you have started here and you have moved this level, be at this level for some point of time, again then look at the growth strategy. To become strong player and achieving economies of scale. Now, how do we achieve growth or expansion strategy? One is intensification and diversification, merger and acquisition, strategic alliances. Right? Now, internal growth you can achieve through intensification, that is by increasing the effort and level of operations by doing the same things in a more effective way. It can be market penetration, existing product in existing market, market development, existing product, new market. So here new market is there. So it is market development, new product, product development. Market penetration means increase the market share by using the same product. So when you say market penetration, existing product in existing market itself, we are finding new buyers, we are finding new customers, we want new, more usage of our product. Market development means when you say development market, new. What is new? Market is new. For example, I am selling in a particular state, I am moving to a new state. I am selling in a particular country, I am moving to a new country. Or I am selling to a particular customer segment, I am moving to new customer segment. Okay, something very simple, like let us say we have women cosmetics. Now we start selling to men also. So there is also market development. Product development. Product development means for the current customers in existing markets, we are offering new product. Same customers, we are giving them new product. Let us say earlier we used to sell phone. Now we also sell tablets or iPad. So this is the product development. Market penetration, more products, same product to more users in the same market. We are not changing the market. Market development, new market. Product development, new product. Diversification is adopted by those firms which want to launch new products in the new markets. So when a firm tries to grow and expand by diversifying, it is called growth by diversification. This is also an internal growth strategy. Now the difference is, when I say internal growth strategy, this is happening internally. When we say, or this is also called organic. The other one is inorganic, where we are looking at acquisitions, mergers and related aspects. Okay. Now diversification can be classified based on the relationship with the existing business as concentric or conglomerate. Concentric means what? It is related to existing business in some way. So it can be either vertically or horizontally integrated. For example, let us say currently we are manufacturing shirts. Now we also start manufacturing cloth, which is the raw material of shirt. So this is a diversification which is integrated. Means if you look at the supply chain, you have cotton, you have yarn, you have cloth, you have shirts, for example. Okay, this is the supply chain. If you are doing something in the particular supply chain, this is called vertical. So for example, currently we are manufacturing clothes. For example, if I start manufacturing yarn or if I start manufacturing cotton, it is called vertically integrated. If I am moving backwards in the supply chain towards my supplier, it is called backward. If I start manufacturing shirts, this is forward. Okay, this is called vertically integrated. So what is horizontally integrated? Horizontally integrated means at the same level I have started doing something new, that is called horizontally integrated. So vertically integrated, engage in business which is related to existing business. So it could be backward integration, that is enter business of input providers or your suppliers. Forward integration, enter lines that use existing product, enter into the business of customers. Okay, so this is called vertically integrated. Then horizontally integrated. Horizontally integrated means what? Acquisition of similar business operating at the same stage of production marketing change, going into complementary products, byproducts, or taking over competitors' product. For example, at the same level of supply chain, currently we are doing cotton clothes. We may have acquired, let us say, jeans related cloth as well. So that will become your horizontally integrated. Concentric, when we talk about concentric diversification, it is linked to existing business through process or technology. Conglomerate, new business which is disjoint from existing products in every way. So for example, when I say concentric diversification, if I am doing the new business which is linked to my existing business, let us say I am into leather shoes, I started leather belts. Leather is common, that is concentric. I am into telecom, I started oil business, that is conglomerate. So in conglomerate, the businesses are not related. In concentric, the businesses are related. Okay, so one more time, diversification in the base of relationship is concentric and conglomerate. Concentric is related either vertically or horizontally. Something common. So if I start, let's say I have a shoe business, leather shoes, and then I start a leather bag business. So at the level of leathers, it is related. So that is what will be called a concentric diversification. Conglomerate, completely not related. Now this diversification, when you explain as a part of growth strategy, is slightly different when we talk about the your Ansof's matrix. So you can go through this. I have already explained this backward forward. Reason why do we go for backward integration? To secure raw material. Means I am a shirt manufacturer. I want to ensure that cotton supply is the cloth supply is not missed out. So to secure raw material, to improve profitability, to reduce the cost of material. One more aspect, this is a new topic added related to innovation, right? Now innovation is not a strategy for growth as such. It's basically what they're trying to showcase here is by carrying out innovation, basically your research and development, you will improve the existing product lines or processes, leading to increased market share, revenues, profitability and customer satisfaction. So use innovation to maybe carry out market penetration. Use innovation to maybe carry out market development and related aspect. Innovation has following benefit. So what is innovation? Upgradation of existing product lines, processes leading to increased market share, revenues, profitability and customer satisfaction. Now what is the advantage of innovation? Innovation helps to solve complex problems. So you can solve complex problems like, let us say, quick commerce delivery in 10 minutes, or you can use technology to have faster reports. For example, if you are carrying out lab reports and all, or you can have vehicle with driver assistance to reduce accidents. So something which will help you to solve complex problem. Then increases productivity. How does it increase productivity? By using innovation, what happens is you can carry out automation of certain tasks. For example, simple thing for accounting, if you have to understand, bank reconciliation can be automated. If bank reconciliation can be automated, your productivity will be improved. So the final output improves and hence you will be able to increase your productivity. With automation, companies can ensure automatic dispatches of products using robots and technologies, which will lead to improved productivity, create opportunities to further develop process and products within and outside the organization. Then it gives competitive advantage. So what is the benefit of innovation? First, it will solve complex problem. Second, it will increase the productivity. I can do more with my limited available time, and it helps me gives the competitive advantage. So the companies which are pioneer in innovations, they will have a better market share, customers will like their product, and ultimately it will result in competitive advantage, right? So that is as far as the growth. So growth, whatever we have discussed so far, that growth is related to your internal growth strategies. Okay, these are your internal growth strategies. Now the next growth strategy is your growth strategies based on expansion through mergers and acquisition. Now here it is external, or it is called inorganic. So basically you are in a particular business, you want to grow, you want to capture more market, then what do? You capture, or you move into, or you acquire other companies that will help you to grow faster. Okay, so you can see Byju's acquiring, let us say, Akash. Of course, what happened after that, successful, not successful, is a different thing, but you have acquired to grow faster. Otherwise, if Byju's had to set up physical tuition centers, it would have taken a lot of time and money, branding, marketing, etc. So what did they do? They offered some amount to Akash and they acquired the business. Merger and acquisition is the process of combining two or more organizations together. They come together to expand their business. When it is merger, acquisition is one organization takes over another and controls all its business operation. So a lot of time these terminologies are used interchangeably, but when we say merger, two same level entities, they come together and they form a single company. For example, Vodafone Idea came together and formed VI, or V what they call. That is merger of equals. Acquisition is one company acquires another company and absorbs it within. That is what is called acquisition. It is an instant means of achieving expansion and helps in achieving synergies from various perspectives like physical facilities, technical skills, etc. The combination brings positive synergy. Not always. In fact, there is a research which says 90% of mergers and acquisitions, they actually fail. Why do we do mergers? Economies of scale. Unnecessary plants after merger will get shut down. Different expertise, specialization possessed by each company can be brought together. What is the result? Increased market share, increased revenue, lower cost, higher profit. Okay, so because of that, your the positive synergy, you will have higher market share, higher revenue, lower cost, and higher profit. But there is also negative synergy. Diverse work culture. Two companies, they may be working in different environment, and if you merge them, culturally it may be very, very difficult. Inefficient utilization of resources. There may be something called as redundant resources, which you may not be able to fire. So there could be failure and losses as well. Now, when you come to types of merger, vertical, horizontal. Vertical, again, something in the supply chain. So again, if you have cotton, yarn, cloth, shirt. If this company acquires this company, see, merger means acquiring a company. How is it different from, let us say, vertical integrated diversification? That is where we are doing. We are not acquiring another company. We are starting the business. That is what is called the diversification. Here, we are acquiring. So if you are acquiring within the supply chain, you have a vertical merger. If you are acquiring similar level of company, for example, you are already into cloth business, you want to acquire more cloth companies, then that is called horizontal diversification. It can be backward, forward. Backward means towards supplier, forward means towards customers or buyers. What is the objective of horizontal merger? To achieve economies of scale, production process, widen line of product, decrease working capital, also market. For example, I am a shirt manufacturing company in southern India. I may acquire a shirt manufacturing company in northern India to access that market. That is again horizontal because we are doing it at the same level. Now, here also we have co-generic, like we had their concentric and conglomerate. Co-generic and conglomerate. Co-generic means it is associated. Associated in some way or the other is co-generic, related. Conglomerate is unrelated. So why unrelated? Reliance Industries acquiring a medicine or pharma company. Reliance Industry acquiring Hamleys, not related at all. So that is called conglomerate merger. Okay, so quick recap, because this is one thing where we keep on forgetting or unable to understand, right? So you can have intensification, market penetration, development, product development. You can have diversification, vertically integrated, horizontally integrated, or conglomerate, right? So in mergers and acquisitions, you can have again vertical, horizontal, then you can have co-generic and conglomerate. Okay, now we'll move to strategic alliances. Strategic alliances basically means two companies into two different maybe businesses or in similar line of businesses, they come together and they form an alliance to carry out a particular type of business. Okay, so a relationship between two or more business which is entered to achieve specified objective is called a strategic alliance, right? Now when we say strategic alliance, for example, Tata, Starbucks. Tata is existing, Starbucks is existing, both of them came together, they formed a kind of a JV alliance and then they did the business. So here it is not merger, it is not acquisition, it is an alliance. Neither of the business loses its independence and separate identity. They share controls and benefit over the partnership and mutually make contribution to the alliances, often formed across countries. So I told, right, Hero Honda, Maruti Suzuki, all of these are strategic alliances. Advantage: sharing of resources in the form of marketing skills, distribution network, production skills, asset base, technical know-how, etc. For example, Hotstar has a good market in India. Disney wants to access that market. Do a strategic alliances. They come together and they access the market. Greater economies of scale, due to an alliance, as production volume can increase with the same fixed cost. Rivals can come join together to cooperate instead of compete. Now, one very interesting thing, if you follow Toyota and Maruti Suzuki, there is an alliance where they are exchanging models. Toyota will build one model, Maruti Suzuki will build one model, Maruti Suzuki will supply their model. So Baleno, Maruti Suzuki has supplied Baleno to Toyota. Toyota is producing this as Glanza. Okay, same model. If you see on the street, you will not be able to distinguish as well. So that is what will help you to cooperate instead of compete. Vertical integration can be created where partners are part of supply chain. That can also be a good alliance. You can do with foreign markets as well. Advantages, organizational advantages, self-explanatory. Improving skills, obtaining capabilities, productive capacity, and providing distribution system. Economic, reducing cost, achieving greater economies of scale, utilizing specialization, additional value to the customer. Strategic, pool resources, create competitive advantage, access to new technology, joint R&D. Gain entry into foreign markets. To improve influence and position, one may ally with potentially politically influential partner. For example, if you have to do something in India, maybe you will tie up with someone who has a lot of political influence. Disadvantages, you have to share profit, resources, knowledge. Very dangerous. Hero Honda. Honda shared a lot of information with Hero. Hero got the ability. Now Hero is separate and Honda is separate. So that can be a risk. Risk of creating a competitor. An ally may turn one when it separates out in the future. So an ally may become one competitor in the future. So this is with respect to growth strategy. Now, retrenchment strategy or strategic exit. Now, what is this retrenchment strategy or strategic exit? Basically, if things are not good, see, one is we said continue at the same pace. Then we said grow. Now we are saying growth is done. Okay, staying at the same pace is also not possible. Business is going down. This particular product doesn't have future. We are unnecessarily spending cost, money. So better is to exit or carry out this retrenchment strategy. Retrenchment or strategic exit. Now what does that mean? Here we'll follow three types of strategy. One is turnaround strategy. Businesses are doing very bad. Can we turn around? Second, divestment strategy. Can we dispose of some part of the business? And lastly, liquidation strategy. Completely shut down and go away. Okay, three categories. First, what is the reason for retrenchment strategy? The reason for retrenchment strategy is there are continuous losses and unavailability of funds, persistent negative cash flows. Persistent negative cash flow. Okay, so there is a problem with power, so we will not have video, but at least with audio and screen we can continue. Okay, persistent negative cash flows means the cash flows are negative. Severity of competition, high competition, cutthroat competition. Technology upgradation is required. Continuously you have to upgrade the technology, and it may not be possible to do that. Okay. Then new facilities are required and mismanagement. So because of these reasons, there could be retrenchment strategy. This strategy is pursued when an organization substantially reduces the scope of its activities. Okay. Now, first, turnaround strategy. Turnaround means you're going down, you have to turn it around and bring it up. When an organization wants to reverse the process of decline, it adopts a turnaround strategy. Okay, so it adopts a turnaround strategy. It is a strategy to revive the growth for the company. It is internal retrenchment to improve internal efficiency. So basically something like what you learn in advanced accounting, reconstruction, something like that. That is more from accounting point of view. This is more from business point of view. What is the action plan for turnaround strategies? What are the stages? First, assess the current problem, identify the root cause. What is the current problem and what are the root causes of the problem? That's the first one. Second, identify strategies, develop action plan and evaluate chance of survival with each plan. So first is, what is my current problem? Okay, and what are the root causes? Then what are the strategies can I take? What are the plans can I make to revive? Then choose the best one. Then implement the action plan by taking human resource, finance, operations, marketing actions to restructure debt, reduce cost, improve working capital. Then analyze and review the cash forecast, asset and debt position, and take steps to restructure the business on the basis of people, product, and financial asset. Evaluate if there are signs of returning to normal. So basically, identify the current problem and the root cause, identify strategy and action plan, implement the action plan by considering HR, finance, operations, etc. Analyze the cash forecast, see whether the cash forecast has improved or not. Then asset, debt position, and take steps to restructure the business on the basis of people, if you have to fire or hire, product, new products, financial assets. Evaluate if there are signs of returning to normal. After doing all of these, are we returning back to normal? Important stages or of important aspects of your turnaround strategy is changes in top management. Sometimes the companies may fire top management. Okay, they may do things that is, they may ask top management to leave. So if you see Z, they are asking the current the chairman, CEO, whatever you call, asking them to leave. Neutralize external pressures. So if there are external pressures, try to negate the impact. Quick cost reduction, reduce the cost. Revenue generation, asset liquidation for cash. So this you also learn in reconstruction, right? You sell off some assets, some investment to get money. Improve internal coordination and initiate credibility building. Improve internal coordination means between different departments, you have to improve your coordination so that you can turn around and you do credibility building. See, after there is a downfall, you have to spend some time, money, advertisement, marketing to revive the downfall. Right? That is the first part. Divestment involves sale and liquidation of a portion or division of a business, whereas liquidation is the complete firm is shutting down. So these two differences you have to keep in mind. Divestment, your reduction of one division. Liquidation, shutdown of the entire business. It is adopted when turnaround has been unsuccessful. So for example, I have 4 divisions, A, B, C, D. D is making continuous losses. I tried to turn around, I could not turn around. So now what is the option? Divestment. All are making losses, shut down. It is a rehabilitation and restructuring plan. So basically you're trying to do it, but it is done for a specific segment. What is the reason? An acquisition proves to be a mismatch and cannot be integrated. We acquired a business thinking it will be a great strategy, synergy, all of those things. It did not work out that way. So what do you have to do? You have to shut down. There are persistent negative cash flows, severe competition, technology upgradation, better alternative. So if I have a better alternative, let us say I have a particular division making losses. If I can sell off and use that money to buy something else, if that is better, then I should follow that. Liquidation strategy. Now what is liquidation strategy? Shut down the firm because you're not able to revive it. Leads to unemployment and loss of reputational, hence this is the last resort. We've seen a lot of companies, Jet Airways, Kingfisher Airlines, then we have seen DHFL, a lot of times due to fraud as well. Selling assets may be difficult and may become hard to find buyers. It is the most unpleasant stage yet desirable if closing down is less loss making than running the business, right? So you do this in decision analysis also. If you shut down the business, if you save more cost than you earn profits, then it is better to shut down. Combination strategy. Combination means you will combine your turnaround, divestment and liquidation strategy. So the power is back finally. Okay. Now reasons for retrenchment strategy. Management no longer wishes to remain in the business either partly or wholly due to continuous losses. So management doesn't want to continue in the business. Management feels that business could be made viable by divesting some of the activities. So one is losses are there. The management feels that by divesting some activities, the business could be made more viable. Business has been acquired and proves to be a mismatch. Persistent negative cash flows, severity of competition, technology upgradation, better alternative may be available. So these points, similar points here also. So same thing you can just write it. Right? Now that is to do with your strategic choices. So in strategic choices, basically what we saw, what are the decision at the company level, at the corporate level, what are the decision? whether we want to continue at the current stage, stability strategy, whether we want to grow, growth strategy, whether we want to retrench, the the turnaround or the liquidation or the divesting strategy. So we'll pause our session here because there is a power fluctuation. Okay, and we'll do one more session where we will be covering the remaining part related to strategic options, and once we complete strategic options, we'll move on to the last part or the last chapter, that is to do with implementation, evaluation and control related aspects. Okay, so that will be covered in the subsequent. We'll have one more session where we'll be covering both of these. Thanks a lot for your time. Hope the session was useful, and see you soon. We'll announce the date, and on that date we will continue. Thank you.